Project Egg Show. I'm your host, Ben Gothard, and today we have the honor of speaking with Sheevaun Moran. How you doing today, Sheevaun?
I'm awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
And for being awesome. That's always awesome. So I actually want to dive into that awesomeness, and I want to ask you, what is your story?
My story. Oh gosh. How long do we have? So
long enough to start from the very beginning.
Right. I was born. Anyway. I would say my first entrepreneurial venture was when I was 11 and I wanted a particular sweater. And I lived in such a tiny town at the time. Hard to believe that those still exist. And you could actually go in and put my dad's name down if I wanted to buy something. Kind of weird. It seems like it's in the 1800s, but it really wasn't. But I wanted this particular sweater and it was way above the budget that I was allowed to go. And I went home, I asked, and they said, no, if you can figure out how to earn it, you can have it. And so not sure what transpired next, but next thing you know, I decided to pick the largest lawn down the street, and I had a lawn mowing route, and I made a lot of money because I picked the biggest lawns. That was smart of me. And then in the winter, I shoveled snow. So my entrepreneurial venture was, what could I do that would bring in a good sum of money and I could get what I want and I could have my own income. So I really figured that out pretty quickly. When I was in high school, I was really bored and they didn't know what else to do with me. So they put me in computer programming school. And so I loved it. I loved it. I was very good at it. And then I started looking around thinking, these kind of people look like they're sick and pale and dead. And I'm a teenager, so it was just sad. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure I really want to do this, but that's what I ended up going to college for. And a big challenge happened at the school at the house that I was living in at the school, and I left after 2 years. And I moved to California. I'd always wanted to live in California, and didn't really make it there as quickly as I wanted, and came back. And then I saved a ton of money, so I wouldn't ever have to think about money again. I had like 4 jobs and all kinds of things. Moved to California, work for this guy who is an entrepreneur. This amazing engineering guy, super quiet, brilliant brain. There were 12 of us. And we started growing the business and getting it bigger and bigger and bigger. And we grew it to about 140 million and sold it to Rubbermaid. And I was like, I want that. I want to always do that. And so I was pretty hooked on the entrepreneurial thing. And what that bred was looking for those kind of companies who had a small little team who could take the coding. Because after I left coding, I went to sales and marketing because I'm actually kind of introverted and wanted to figure out the sales and marketing thing and was very good at that. And so I could take any of those things and take them to an organization and help that organization grow. So I got really hooked on that. So I helped a bunch of companies, like 5 companies, do that. And one of the last ones I did that for was a prescription nutraceutical company. And I realized during this little stint of doing this, I didn't believe in drugs, which is hilarious. And then I got sick and misdiagnosed and nearly died from blood poisoning. And I was certain that I didn't believe in drugs, but this little injection was going to save my life. And blood poisoning is usually lethal. I had been apparently walking around with it for about 7 months. And took the injection and thought, well, if I can build companies, I can heal myself. I heard a little hint of that on the radio, and I think I must have decided that had to be true. So I decided it was true and I could. So I stayed home, healed myself, and started thinking about how I grew teams and organizations and how processes worked and how I hired people. I really just had a lot of time. And then what occurred was I went back into this little nutraceutical company, and they were growing super fast. And then I left for those 2 months, and then they slowed down. I thought, oh, I'm an integral part to this. And it was really cool because I was looking around going, I am not here to just do this. This is not my only gig. So I go, and they're getting too big for their britches, like many companies at $150 million do, telling me what to dress, how to dress, and do all these really stupid things. I thought, oh, yeah, so not doing this. And I started a side hustle, and it was called a little company called Packlight. It was the first company where you could take the trial and travel size things and put them into, a container that we had developed, which is now like travel kit. And I was all over the news in different countries, and it was really fun. It was really cool. And then American Express took that whole idea and they knocked it off. And I was like, oh, good, I'm done. That's it. They can do it. I don't have that kind of budget. This is fine. This was a great adventure. I made I made some good money. I broke about even, which is fine. And I thought, well, I need to find my new gig. I need to find this new setup of somebody who needs all of these juicy bits that I have to offer. So I go and take a trip in between to Nepal. I do this healing stuff that I'd done on myself on this woman in our group because she had a massive stroke, and worked on her for 7 hours and healed her. And I thought, that's pretty crazy. This woman's alive because of this little thing that I know. This is so weird. And I'm very, very corporate, mind you. So I see her walking and talking 6 days later after we get off the mountain. I was like, oh my God, that's way more important than anything else. So I come back and I start teaching this stuff. And I opened a clinic. I opened 4 clinics, and I was just giving it away for free and helping these companies get built. And then people wanted me to give talks, and then people wanted to pay me. And I started having this big company and this big business. And I thought, wow, okay. I wanted to be president of a pharmaceutical company, not this kind of pharmaceutical, but this is way better. But what I discovered along that little journey of all of this is every single one of them, and I had to go back and look, because I got a lecture by one client, and she said, you understand that the work you've done with me and all of the things that you unwound about how I think and how I live and how I behave and how I treat others and how I think about money and how we're growing our business, you understand that we went from zero and we now have a $2 million company. And she gave me this big, long lecture, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I think I've heard this from a lot of people. That's important. And so I took it and ran with it for a bit in my head. And I thought, let me do a little research. I'm a scientist. So I started looking at all my files thinking, they made more money. They made more money. They made a lot of money. They made money. They made money. Every one of them made money. Okay, this is important. There's something that I do that others don't have or have the capacity to do. Take this weird, wonky woo thing and blend it with business building and psychology and hiring and metrics and the way I think about encoding, and put that all together. And that's kind of what I've been doing all these rest of the years.
So what is that thing? Like when you put it all together, what is it?
Totally. So for a lot of years, up until the past 5, people will be like, are you a coach? I was like, no. Are you a business builder? I'm like, Are you a healer? I'm like, no, not really. Are you this? Are you that? Are you this? Are you that? And I was like, no, listen, I just make your life amazing and you have miracles. So really that has been my platform, is I help people have miracles in places that they don't understand why a miracle isn't working. So they've had a breakdown, they've had a fall in the pit, or they've had a big wake up epiphany, and they know that they're here to do something more. And the way they were making money over here doesn't match who they are over here. And I teach them how to be in this and have actually even more prosperity and abundance and freedom. And so I guess you could say I'm a mentor, a coach. I think it's those are small boxes for what I do. I help people physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, financially, really working from the wheel of all of those simultaneously, rather than just work on money. Just work on health. Just work on metrics in your business. Just work on hiring. Just work on scaling. So when you put all those together, what I've discovered is all of those actually yield longevity in a business, more health, better relationships, and their own spiritual practice in whatever that means.
So it's like wholesome self-awareness.
I would say it's kind of like the miracle of living the life that you've heard or thought you should have, or thought people who have, but when you look under the hood, they really don't. But really identifying, okay, what number should they be at financially? Because there is actually a number for each different person and where they want to go and what they have the capacity to get to. What is their health capacity? So taking them to their capacity and saying, listen, we always want to look for this as your capacity. And yeah, of course, we want you to break free from that a little bit more and see if you can push it. So it's kind of like I just mentor people to have the most miracles in their life as possible. And it always includes money.
So what's the process that you take people through, like for the different disciplines, right? So like for money, how do you actually, like, what is the process of figuring out, okay, what is my number? What is my capacity there?
So one of the things I've learned is people can't find their own number because then they'll actually not ever get there. And it's really fascinating. So I had this one client who was like, I want to be a billionaire. I was like, totally, I can get you there. Yeah, let's do that. And his capacity was not that, but I thought, well, if he really can break through in that capacity, let's just see. And we'll use these tools. I'll tell you tools in a second. And so I started looking at, okay, well, what's their number? What's their number? Can they allow themselves to get there? And a very small percentage can. Very few percent can. One guy wanted to be a billionaire that truly became a billionaire. And he has a worldwide brand that we all know and have for breakfast. But most, really don't have that capacity to really take themselves and grow all of those pieces and bring them forth. So the aspect I take people through is making them understand that there's a life force that is in us and around us. And whether we believe it or like it or not, if we're breathing, it's an evident description of that life force. And generally, if we just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on breath. If you look at 99% of the population, they're hardly breathing, which means their capacity is about 5% of where they can go. So we just start with simple things of, okay, every conversation you have, you give off some sort of life force to another. It's either taking something away or giving something. Most people take. And then others give what I call poopy energy. Poopy thoughts, poopy ideas. So they're walking around like like Pigpen with their poopy energy, right? You know what I'm talking about. It describes it perfectly, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Right. And so that just wafts off onto people, and then that becomes like a virus in their system. And they all of a sudden are having a bad day because little Pigpen over there in Poopyville just deposited junk. and we don't know how to stay free of other people's junk deposits. So I teach people how to stay free of those junk deposits so they can get into what I call is Clarityville. Obviously, I have these fun terms. We've got Poopyville, and then we've got Clarityville, but we're not actually trained to be in clarity. So if you look at school, you look at working for someone, you're actually taught to have drama and chaos and stay in that spin cycle of same. And they say, oh, you have the same amount of thoughts, X number of the same amount of thoughts every day. Well, we don't actually have to. We just have to learn about what this Poopyville is doing to us and how to allow ourselves to get out of that. So every conversation we have, in science, they call it string theory. Every conversation we have, there's some sort of dynamic flow going back and forth in this string, so to speak. And so you go off and have a frustrating conversation with your wife, your kids, or your mother, you know, the lady down the street or whatever. And that string is still communicating that information back to me if I don't do anything about it. And I'm picking up some of that junky, poopy stuff. And enough of that gets accumulated and the body gets sick and the mind gets really chaotic. And so I teach people how to cut that string so that what occurs is they can get to be more and more free to be who they are as they grow, as they shift, as they create something new, etc., and really stay free of all of the confines of the job mentality. Because even when you go out on your own, you still have the job mentality, and it's very clawing at you. To really be free inside of yourself so you can go out and express that in whatever that is, as a CPA, as an attorney, as a healer, as a coach, as a whatever. Any type of process of what you're out there doing and expressing yourself as. So that cutting and so we have tools that I'll give you guys access to that will keep you freer and freer from that. Kind of cool.
So it seems like financially with that discipline, it's not so much about that particular discipline, but it's about really taking a step back and identifying like what state we're in and how we're being influenced by other people and trying to get the clarity to understand like where we actually are, who we actually are, who we can be, and what we actually want and what we can accomplish. Is that
so
what I'm hearing?
We're trained, and what you just said is very intellectual and mental. And that's what we're trained to do and try to understand. And we're looking for things like state and so on and so forth. And the true essence of us as beings is that we're really children who have a lot of energy that has that has been encased in a lot of Poopyville. And these tools actually don't require you getting into the state. They just require you, every conversation you have, disconnecting so you can start finding yourself freer in the way you think and the way you create and the way you express, and organically, because life force is money automatically actually starts to come in little bits until we have to then start a process that's bigger so it can come in bigger ways.
So I'm trying to understand.
So I know, see, that's the key thing, understand. So let's try this.
Okay.
You ready? You want to play?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so think of something that frustrates you.
Got it.
Got it? Like, hang on to that for a second and then tell me what it feels like.
Frustrating.
I know, but like, is it good? Are you happy in your body? Is it like a little tense in your stomach or anything like that?
It literally feels suffocating.
Okay, great. So imagine you have a samurai sword or a lightsaber or Harry Potter or whatever you call those things. And imagine that you're holding that, and then you're going to say, cut, 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 go.
Cut, cut, cut.
Yeah, hold it in front of you and go cut, cut, cut.
Cut,
yeah,
cut,
there
cut.
you go. Okay, great. And do that 3 more times.
Cut, cut, cut.
Okay, got it. Now think of that same thing that frustrates you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what's different.
Feels a bit lighter.
Sounds stupid, but it works. Not a good way to intellectualize it, is it? Not very intellectual. Good. It's kind of cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you learn to do these processes, it actually gives you freedom from staying in that poopyville and letting it totally take over your life and your headspace.
It's almost that was silly, but it actually was like that. Actually, I actually felt a little bit different.
I know, and that's freaking weird. Listen, I'm an ex-coder. I'm all business, and I do this weird stuff, and it works though.
Okay, so what are some of the other ones?
Well, so here's something that's interesting. Just take that one. Like if we were just to say, okay, all of you people out there watching, listening, Bill, just do that one every time you have a conversation with somebody, whether it's on the phone, every time you look at Facebook because you see 14 million things, puppy, happy, sad, war, this, death, that. On Facebook, you scroll, you see all these crazy things. Okay, but cut every single time you engage with something. You will actually find, fascinatingly, that it's kind of like this veil lifts off your thinking. Kind of like what you just did, because you should look at your face before and then look at your face now, and you're actually way more smiley.
Well, it was fun. It was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're free of something that doesn't make logical sense, but you know that there's an experience.
All right.
So what people will do, thanks for playing, what people will do is they'll say, well, give me more. And I say, okay, I can, and I want to. However, this one, I always give the most powerful one, because you do this puppy and your life will improve radically. Because we walk around in everybody else's junk so much, and we don't know what's ours and theirs because it's now become convoluted, energy wise, mental wise. You go into a company and then you got their little mindset, and this is above mindset, and it just says, I'm just going to disconnect those things that feel icky. Notice how I have all these really tech terms. Mm-hmm. But it works. And you do that on a consistent basis, I guarantee you'll have more energy. You'll sleep better. Do that before you go to bed. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up more refreshed, and you'll have a lot more creativity, and things will start coming to you more easily. So I know we're looking for more, but I say, okay, cool. Start with this one and do it a whole bunch, and then I'll give you a place where you can get free videos and you can have more. You know what I mean?
So why does it work though? Like why did that?
Yeah.
Like it made me giggle, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it actually felt lighter.
Right, exactly.
Was it because I was thinking about something and I was latching onto that, and then the silliness took me out of it?
So imagine this. So this is my headset cord, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this being cut and me talking continuously. You wouldn't be able to hear. It would be cut. That's what we have when we're having those conversations with a thought, with an idea, with a person. If we're mad at a person, that exchange is going back and forth, and it's creating and creating and creating. And they say, oh, walk away. That actually doesn't ever disconnect it. It keeps it in play. This disconnects it. Will you have to do it again? Sometimes 100,000 times? Yes, depends upon the thing. Sometimes it's just one. But it works because we're taking and saying, okay, there is a real connectivity between two either humans or something that we've thought about that frustrates us, and it no longer feeds it.
But why?
Well, we're no longer feeding it, so we've cut it, and then our brain goes, and our body goes, thank God, I got some relief from that. And you actually then get freedom to think more clearly about the circumstance and take a more wholesome action.
So just by saying cut a bunch of times and doing
we're not that, we have to do the actual physical movement, because the cut, we're actually not that sharp in our brain. It's interesting. So we actually have to do the physical movement so that it really does actually take and disconnect that connection.
But why does doing that action, taking that action,
because it's just like taking scissors to this. It's just exactly like taking scissors to this. I couldn't talk into this anymore if I took and cut this with scissors, could I?
Right.
Same thing.
And where did you discover this?
Yeah. So I heard something about how energy works. I've always understood energy. I heard something about how energy works, and I thought, oh, I kind of think like that. I've been thinking like that since I was a little girl. I didn't know that was weird. I had no idea. So I'd been doing a lot of these things, and then I took a class and I was like, oh, look, these people are teaching this stuff that I do. So I really didn't know that it was just something that was innate to what I had just created to keep myself sane from what I thought were, oh, these people are mean, those people are mad, those people have bad thoughts about me, all of these things I'd thought. And so I'd created these things to stop it. And then I realized that there are processes and that have been taught for thousands and thousands of years that actually help release this energetic thing so that we actually become more true to who we were meant to be. Now I teach it to all my entrepreneurs.
So being like more true to who we're really supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're not supposed to be having so many poopy thoughts. We're supposed to have so much more freedom, creativity, potential, and opportunity to take what's in here and to take what we're here to do and really get it out there. But like I was doing a live, we have challenges that we do, and I was doing the first day of a challenge earlier, and the guy was texting and he says, oh, I'm not stuck. And I said, well, okay, so where are you and what are you doing? He says, well, I have to decide. And I said, well, then you're stuck. I said, wait a minute, there is no, I'm not stuck. You're actually stuck. And he goes, oh yeah, I kind of am stuck. And then what we got down to was he had so much convoluted thing about, oh, I might make a mistake. I might waste my time. I might have the wrong audience. I might. And so taking this little tool and disconnecting those poopy thoughts that I call it the prison of thoughts, right? Using that to disconnect the prison of thoughts multiples of times, not just once, right? But multiples of times, because we have lots of thoughts all the time. Actually gives us the ability to be more of who we're meant to be. It unlocks that prison more so.
So we're removing the bad and allowing the good to bubble up from inside.
Yeah, we're allowing our true essence and our true creativity and our true nature to show up. Like we get more fun, we get more playful, we're a little less serious. Where we actually are more creative in our solutions. We use our intellect better.
And so does that just get naturally harnessed into everything that we're doing?
It does. It can, if you use it properly, for sure.
What do you mean use it properly?
Well, most people tend to do it for a second and a hot minute and then they quit. And just like anything, it requires mastery. It requires continuous effort. So like when we're kids, we're taught to brush our teeth. We're not just taught to brush our teeth once. Every day we're told to brush your teeth. Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush? By the time you're 10, you know to freaking brush your teeth. right? And then you're just in rebellion because you don't want to brush your teeth, but still, and it's not gone. But when we have something that is as simple as this, it's just like, oh, well, it worked and we just proved that it worked. But are you willing to do what it takes to make sure that you get and do it again and again and again to get the result again and again and again? So the reason I continue to do this is because I'm addicted to seeing those results that you just showed, and to seeing people, to being able to see people freer from their junky thoughts and their like, maybe they have a weird thing with, I have a guy who he's like, you're a lunatic, but it works. He was having a problem with his tech company. He says, my coders have been like wasting my money for 9 months. I said, all right, do this thing. And I gave him a little process and system. And he said, oh, you're so weird. I'm going to do it. And the next day he said, and he swore at me a lot. And he said, how do you, how am I going to do all of this? And they came up with the best plan ever. And I said, because it's all about the energetic connections.
Is there ever a point, do you think, where one could become almost too reliant on these tools and like go too far with it to where it's like misconstruing who you actually are?
No, you can't. The only way you could go too far with it is to become obsessed that you didn't do enough. And that would be OCD. Like washing your hands. It's just like, okay, I'm going to just continue to walk around and do that. Well, the only thing that can happen eventually is you actually end up losing your OCD because you're cutting away all of those prison of thoughts of OCD. I actually had a guy do it. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. Cool, super cool. Yeah.
So isn't there ever a situation where too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing?
No, because you're always interacting with folks, right? Unless you're isolating and doing nothing, right? Sure. But you're always engaging with folks. If you're in business to do business and to do good and to have prosperity and to get your technology, whatever that is, or to get whatever it is you're doing out there, you're always engaging with somebody, right? Which is going to help you grow. So the more you're able to do this, the more you're able to grow and thrive and create. You can end up with maybe too fast of growth and be like, whoa, wait a minute, hang on, that's too fast. I don't know if I can take that. And I've had that happen.
So I want to shift gears a little bit.
Good.
Who do you look up to and learn from today?
Look up to and learn from. I would say it's not necessarily learn, but I get to hang out a couple times a year with Richard Branson, and he inspires me to say, how much more could I do in the space that I'm in to achieve something that is going to continue to give? Because I grew up so I lost my husband when I was young, and I grew up with the idea of, we have a short amount of time on the earth. We better dang well get doing what we're here to do. And I'm here to just get doing it. And so I've lived that for a long time. And he and I've had conversations about what propelled him to do that. And he says, well, I've almost lost my life a couple times too. And I thought, that's it. I'm here to do it. I'm here to do it well and fast, engage with folks. I would say he inspires me to think of business in a unique way. Maybe licensing or new conversations of taking whatever it is that we do, whatever it is that I do, and putting it off into a different tangent. I have a book called, because all my CEOs have this challenge, either too much sex or not enough sex. And so I have a book called The Secret Energy of Sex, How to Have It, How to Not Have It. And he gave me a new title that he really insists that I release it with this new title. I'm not going to give it, but it's pretty hilarious. As you might know, his company is called Virgin. So it's a play on words. And so I like the way he's super playful and how he engages the play with the brand, and really making sure that that stays true without controlling.
What do you mean stays true without controlling?
Meaning stays true to the brand of what he's created as play and the essence, and yet without controlling it, and just like without force. You know what I mean? Anyway, so that's a very good inspiration that he's I think brought to me. So I would say he's probably a good inspiration. I don't know about learning, but he's a very good inspiration, a reminder. Oh, that would be a good avenue to remember to do.
So then, do you think at this point you don't have anything to learn from other people?
I don't call it learn. I would say they inspire me to do it differently. For the past couple of years, I was really into creating funnels for all of our companies. I'm a geek. I like geeky things. So, it was really about, okay, well, what do you do creating that? Oh, how does that help get that message out there, et cetera? Oh, how can I help my entrepreneurs with this, et cetera, et cetera? So I don't know if that's learning. I guess I would say that that's a reformatting of things that I did. I don't know. I don't think I don't have anything to learn. I think we learn something every day, but I really feel like it's always we're always being reminded of things that we have inside of us that we might already know.
So at this point, what questions do you still have about yourself?
I don't think about me.
Why not?
Because this world isn't about what I'm here to do for me. I'm here to keep myself healthy so I can share whatever I can share and help other people. That's really my plan. That's where the way I feel like my mission is how can I help people have that little light that you just expressed and experienced? How can I help people have that in a very big way in their business and do well, do good, and share whatever it is there is to share and bring others up? I think that's what I'm here to do. And I actually prefer to do it that way. It's not about me.
But if we're supposed to be getting more in touch with like who we really are at our core,
are we?
I thought we were talking about that earlier.
Well, we're not supposed to get in touch with it. We're here to make sure to really clean up our energy, so we are reminded of what we're here to do and what we're here to share. I don't know about getting in touch with it. We're already in touch with it. Whether we do something with it or not is another question.
But how do we know if we're in that place where we can most like best share, where we can like really embrace it the most or live it to the fullest, if we're not even thinking about ourselves at all?
Well, you asked about me versus somebody else. You asked the question about me, and what am I here and all of that. And it's like, well, I know that's what I'm here to do and I'm here to share. I think other people need to grow into not making sure that it's really, they need to know enough about themselves so they can do what they're here to do. I think it takes a while for people to know about themselves. I had a lot of loss. So I really, my path got super accelerated in a very short amount of time. And I'm not saying I'm already there, because that would be stupid and arrogant and prideful. And no, God, no. But all I really want to do is make sure entrepreneurs have the gifts that they're here to share and give, the prosperity they're here to share and do good in the world, make better choices and higher elevated choices, and communicate with kindness to anybody that they're having a challenge with that maybe they couldn't see a way before. Sounds altruistic, I guess, when you say it out loud, but yeah.
Cool. That's exciting.
Did I lose you?
Nope. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Not really. Hang on one second.
This, friends, is the fun of doing things live. All right. Well, while we get the technical difficulties all figured out.
Okay, here we go. Oh, we got
all
it.
All right. Perfect. Well, I was going to say, while we get the technical difficulties figured out, I was going to share a joke with the people. So now I have to do it.
You have to tell me the joke. Come on.
Okay. So, what cat do you never play cards with?
Stevens?
A cheetah.
You win.
Anyways.
I'm going to use that for this Halloween. That's a good one. Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to it. So, I do want to be very cognizant of your time. I know you're on your way to a conference right now.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you. Then we'll wrap it on up.
Yeah. I love your intense questions. So thank you.
Well, thanks for answering them. What question should I be asking you that I just wouldn't think to ask?
I think a good question to ask would be, where do people get stuck and quit the most?
Which is?
Yeah. So people get stuck and quit the most when it feels like, let me use a little, it feels like it's going like this and it's out of control. And it's about to get really, really good. And then they start going, whoa, 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 hang on, I'm not ready. And wait, just wait. When it's all of that thinking and momentum and good energy that you've been working on to get to that place, and all of a sudden you're going, wait. And if we could just say, I'm not going to wait, I'm going to keep going, maybe I could step a little bit more carefully, we wouldn't stay freaked out and quit.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, Sheevaun, I want to thank you a lot for coming on the show today and sharing this time with me. I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Use the cord cutting. And there's a set of tools if you want your listeners to have them. Go to freekickstarter.com and they get those 6 and they can see what it is and they get a little description and it's free. And they get the 6 videos and cool other tools.
Very cool. So thank you very much, Sheevaun, and to everybody who's watching and listening, I want to thank you all very, very much. And I will see all of you on the next episode. Take care.